Shane's over here making inappropriate jokes about balls. We got most of our electrical stuff in the mail, so we are going to work on building out our electrical cabinet today. We got a really good suggestion from one of our subscribers, Matthew. He suggested that we make our electrical cabinet metal. So what we're gonna do is build it out with plywood and then line it with sheet metal. Hopefully that's sufficient enough, just another like fire prevention type thing. We're gonna have one of the AFB fireballs in there too. Put a link to those in the description below if you haven't heard of them and you're doing a skoolie. They're super cool. So anyway, I won't waste time explaining about that. You can look at it. It's essentially a fire extinguisher that goes off in the way that sprinklers do in a fire. So, and I'm sure I dumbed it down and made that slightly less accurate than it technically is, but that's the gist. So back here, this is right behind the driver's seat. This is where we're gonna do the electrical cabinet. So we're hoping that by building from the very bottom to about here, that we will still keep those windows open because we're so desperate not to cover any of the windows, that this side will be enough for electrical, and then this side we may be able to do a pantry. I'm still like hanging on with the death grip to the dream of a pantry. So anyway, that's the plan. Obviously electrical is more important because we'll have food storage elsewhere. It'll be fine. But this is where all of the electrical will live. We are keeping it as far away from sleeping spaces as possible. Everybody does their own thing. I have no desire to have a lot of electrical things underneath where any of us sleep or even close to it. Everybody has their own beliefs. Electromagnetic radiation stuff scares the crap out of me. So it's going to be up here. It's going to be boxed in and contained as much as possible. If that's not something you're concerned about, you can totally ignore that comment. If it is something you're concerned about, always happy to geek out with other people who have ways of how to handle that stuff. So that's the plan. Shane is cutting the walls, and before we get started putting them up, I'm going to go ahead and put the Reflectix and the insulation in this wall, and then we're going to close it up. So it'll be our first officially insulated and closed up wall, and I'm oddly excited about that. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today. So that's literally all we're doing with the Reflectix is just putting one sheet in there. What seemed to work the best was I think it's a 24-inch roll. I think they're all 24 inches wide. But anyway, it's a 24-inch wide roll, and we bought a ton of them. So we're going to do one layer. We're taping it in there with HVAC tape. So after that, I'm going to put in the insulation in the same way that we did for the wheel wells. I'll show you that when it's in there, but I'm not going to, again, not going to waste your guys' time showing you like me doing it. So I'll show you what it looks like then. We'll put up the wall and go from there. So I wanted to pause for 1 second to say something about the Reflectix wool Reflectix situation that we're doing. It sounds like technically you're supposed to have an air gap for Reflectix to truly be functional. So an option there is that you can put bubble wrap behind it because that leaves like a dead air space. So then you'd have to do like thin bubble wrap, Reflectix, bubble wrap, insulation. Or no, the bubble wrap would be then behind our second level of insulation. So it'd be bubble wrap, Reflectix, wool insulation, and then bubble wrap, and then Reflectix again. So at that point, I feel like we wouldn't be able to fit a whole lot of wool in there. And then what's the actual R value and benefit to it? So just wanted to throw that out for people who want to do it right. We don't, I guess. We're going to put, it's not that we don't want to, we're just going to, I don't know. We already have Reflectix. The containers or the packages are already open. So we have put Reflectix up. There's wool in there. My understanding is no harm, no foul. It just may not do a whole lot. So I just wanted to pause the video to tell you that, so that if this is something you want to do as well, that's the proper way to do it. And I didn't want to misguide you otherwise. So verdict's still out on how we will handle it, if we can find skinny bubble wrap and kind of what the plan is there. But yeah. we've done is essentially just build like a box of sorts to go on top of the wheel well. So we use 2x2s in the corners for supports, and they're in just enough to allow for the wall to butt up against this back piece. This side of the wall is thicker. I want to say it's 3/4 inch plywood. It's the birch plywood that we used on the floor. Just a thicker, or no, this is left over from the floor actually. Because this will be seen a little more than that side. So anyway, that's accommodated for that. There's another 2-inch support there, and then this is more just like basic plywood particle. I think it's 1/4 inch. So we've built that. There's 2x2 supports, and then we have a lid that we created that has just like an eye support, right, with the 2x2s too. And this is going to be the lid, or the, you know, top of the box. And then we are putting more 2x2s at this front corner that the doors will tack into, and then it just gives it extra support too. So the idea for now is, so we still have access to our windows, which is awesome. We wanted that. But then also the idea is I'm going to get this lined with sheet metal. We are going to get all of our electrical set up, everything beautiful and perfect how we want it, and whatever space is left is pantry. So worst case scenario, we're building a shelf for the inverter, because the batteries in the inverter are the heaviest things, and the batteries I'm going to have down here. And the inverter is probably going to be on a pretty like solid shelf right above them, either on this side or this side. So that's the plan for now. We'll see where we end up with it. I was just laughing because the way we're building some things, we are getting to avoid trying to build walls that tack into the curve of the ceiling. So yay. I think overall the only walls we're going to have to build that tie into that curve are going to be the bathroom wall, depending on how we build that. And I think that's it. But anyway, that's the plan for now. We'll show you each step as we move forward. We didn't show us cutting these pieces because obviously dimensions will differ if this is something you want to do as well. If you have any questions, just ask us. But I mean, it's relatively self-explanatory. We just had to make sure we gave different size space per side based on the type of plywood we were using. But anyway, as always, if you have questions, just shoot questions in the comments below. We are happy to help. So as we put the box all together and as we put the box all together and started to install it, we realized a couple things. One, we had our initial 2x2 down at the base of the wall. So we have one down on the floor, but then one at like the base of like the wall opening, I guess. But it didn't go up high enough now that the wheel well was boxed in. So we pulled out the insulation and put another one in there, so that we'll have something to screw the back of this box into. And then also we realized when we're putting on the lid and installing the walls, we don't have anything to screw that into if we don't also put a support beam in the front and the back. So we're modifying that now, and then we can go ahead and install this. So again, as we're building it, we're realizing certain things that we didn't think through and that we need to change a little bit. So I'm trying to think even what I said last time that we changed, so I make sure I cover it all. But basically we had to uninstall this from the wall to be able to drill the lid into the back piece. We forgot about that. But also we had just a 2x2 here in this front lip, and Shane was like shaking it, checking it out, making sure everything worked good. And it did, except the top felt like it was going to snap with just the 2x2 supporting it. So he's cutting a 2x3 to size right now, and he's going to put it in there. The only thing that's ever really going to be on top is I'm thinking this is like a super nice height for like a standing desk, or otherwise just like books or like random stuff the kids throw up here. So it's not really going to... The purpose of this is not to be a shelf, but in a small space, I'm sure it will be at some point. So we're going to put a 2x3 here to support it a little better, and then we're going to call it a night. We'll do more tomorrow.
Mommy,
yeah?
I was going to get in the bus, Mommy.
You weren't going to get into the bus? Well, you are in the bus.
I said that I was going to get in the bus.
Yeah.
Do
you like the box Daddy built? Look, climb in. Do you fit?
We have so bad.
Climb in. Do you fit? Don't throw that. Are you handing that to Daddy? Do you fit in there? Let's see. That's your bed. No. Would that be a cool bed though? No. It kind of would be actually. You'd grow out of it super fast though.
Right?
I mean, we still probably shouldn't put 200 pounds on top of it. But yes, that's a huge difference. You're not going to sit on it, are you? Oh my God, if it collapses, I just would cry.
200 pounds! Yay!
It's pretty sturdy.
It's 200 or 185 pounds. You can bounce it, which means...
If that breaks, I swear to God, I'm going to kill you. Looks good, baby. We done good. It's amazing that that took all day. Like, it's beautiful, but also, like, it's a box.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Not all day. Like, we really didn't get going till, like, almost 3.
Yeah, but it's like, what the hell, Shane?
So, as you guys probably know, we record stuff, and then by the time the video comes out, sometimes a couple weeks have passed. Since we recorded and finished the electrical closet situation, a couple things have changed. I'm probably not going to attempt to try and fit a pantry in there. I want all those components to have as much space as possible to breathe. That sucks, but fires also suck, so I'm gonna just be happy that I have that much space to move my stuff around. And also, we don't know if we're gonna line it with metal. We're kind of back and forth with whether or not. I know that would help reduce the risk of fire, or at least, like, you know, not let a fire go insane quickly. But we were also going to get those AFG balls. I think they're called AFG. I keep calling them the wrong thing. AFB or AFG. The little fire extinguisher ball things that go off when there's a fire. I'm sure you've heard of them. Shane's over here making inappropriate jokes about balls. But I feel like that will be enough. If a fire starts in there, stuff is destroyed anyway. The point is to save our lives, right? So, I don't know. I'm going back and forth because more likely than a fire is my dumbass, touching electrical components with the sides of the sheet metal, and it could just be a whole thing. So the plans have changed a bit. So for now, the electrical closet's done. So I'm going to post this video so you guys can see that, if that's something you guys would want to do. I don't know. And just to give you guys an update on that. In the long term, if we do decide to line our electrical closet with metal, this is the type of product we would use to spray over top of that sheet metal to prevent electrical shock and to keep us from frying our batteries or any of our electrical components. So that's all for that video. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
When the wind sees the dirty, I cannot see anything. Where are we going?
Where do you want to go?
The wind is dirty.
Where do you want to go?
I have to go to Costco.
I am not seeing it.
I have to go to Costco with the bus.
You want to go to Costco with the bus?
See?
Simple dreams, my love. Those are simple dreams.